My name is Sophia. I still remember the smell of the bakery on 14th Street. Warm vanilla and burnt sugar drifting out the door every time it swung open. That's where I picked up the cake the morning of my graduation. 3 tiers, soft ivory fondant, tiny gold flecks catching the light like I'd imagined my future would. I carried it in both arms like a newborn, the box balanced against my chest, my cap tassel brushing the lid. I was 26, finally done with night classes, dead up to my eyeballs. And this cake, this stupid, beautiful cake, was the first thing in years that felt like proof I'd made it. My sister Alina lived in the same split level we grew up in, the one Mom left her when the cancer took her too fast. I'd moved out at 19. Couch, surfed, worked doubles at the diner with the cracked linoleum. Elena stayed. Got married at 21 to Marco, who sold insurance and smelled like cedar cologne. They had Medio the year I started community college. He was this chubby, dimpled miracle with Elena's dark curls and Marco's smirk. I loved that kid. I really did. I babysat for free so Elena could finish her nursing degree. I let him fall asleep on my chest while I studied organic chemistry flashcards. When he said, "Titi Soph," for the first time, I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't see. Graduation day was golden, hour perfect. The backyard strung with fairy lights. Elena insisted on hanging herself, even pregnant with baby number 2. Folding tables draped in white cloth, lemonade sweating in mason jars. My name on the cake in perfect cursive, Sophia Ramirez, Masters in Social Work. Dad flew in from Tucson. He hadn't seen me in 4 years. My advisor, Dr. Paddle, showed up with her wife and a bottle of Prosecco. Even my ex, Julian, came because we'd stayed friends and he knew what this meant to me. I was floating. I kept touching the cake like it might vanish. Elena snapped photos, her belly round under a sunflower dress. Matteo, now 6, ran circles around the table in his tiny blazer, shouting that he was the ring bearer of fun. Everyone laughed. I remember thinking, this is it. The moment everything clicks. Then the music cut out for speeches. Dad started talking about resilience, his voice cracking on the word, proud. I stepped forward to cut the cake, knife trembling in my hand. That's when Matteo darted under the tablecloth. I didn't see him at first, just felt the table jolt. The cake slid. I lunged, too late. The whole thing flipped, landed face down with a wet splat. Frosting exploded across the grass like a crime scene. Silence. Then Matteo's voice, high and triumphant. Eat it off the ground like a dog. He stood over the mess, finger pointing at me, grinning like he'd won a prize. The backyard froze. Dr. Padel's mouth actually hung open. Dad's eyes went wide behind his glasses. Elena laughed, nervous, sharp, then covered it with her hand. I stared at the cake, my name smeared into the dirt, gold flecks sinking into chocolate crumbs. Something inside me cracked open, slow and clean, like ice on a puddle. Matteo, Elena said, half scolding, half giggling. That's not nice. But he doubled down. She's not special! It's just cake! He kicked at the mess, smearing it further. A chunk of fondant stuck to his shoe. Marco swooped in, ruffling Matteo's hair. Boys will be boys, soft. Lighten up, lighten up. I looked at Elena. She wouldn't meet my eyes, just busied herself with paper towels, dabbing at the grass like that could fix it. No one said anything real. Not Dad, not Julian, not even Dr. Patel, who'd written me a recommendation letter that made me cry. They all just moved on. Someone turned the music back on. The Prosecco popped. I stood there in my gown, tassel stuck to my cheek with dried tears I didn't remember crying. That night, I sat in my childhood bedroom, still pastel pink, still smelling like Elena's vanilla lotion, and replayed it on loop. The smirk, the kick, the way Elena's laugh sliced me deeper than the fall. I kept thinking, he's 6. Kids are cruel, but 6-year-olds don't invent that kind of cruelty alone. They learn it. They watch. They test. I didn't sleep. I opened my phone, scrolled through Elena's Instagram. Perfectly filtered photos, Matteo's first day of kindergarten, Marco's promotion, Elena's baby bump in a field of wildflowers. The caption on one post stopped me cold. Raising a little king who knows his worth. His worth. I closed the app, stared at the ceiling crack that had been there since we were kids, and I decided I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry in front of them ever again. I was going to make them feel it. Not with fists. Not with words they could laugh off. With something quieter. Something that would sit in their chests like a stone. I didn't speak to Alina for 3 weeks. She texted the next day, "Mateo feels awful. He's just a kid soft. Don't be dramatic." So I left her on read. The blue ticks stared back at me like tiny accusations. I went back to my studio apartment above the laundromat, the one with the leaky faucet that dripped in Morse code at 3 a.m. I unpacked the graduation gown, hung it in the closet like a ghost. The tassel still had frosting in the fibers. I didn't wash it. I wanted the reminder. Work started the following Monday. My first real job as a family counselor at the community center. I wore slacks and blouses now, not diner aprons. I listened to mothers cry about sons who stole, fathers who vanished. I nodded, took notes, gave resources. But every time a kid smirked in my office, I saw Mateo's face in the cake guts. Elena called on a Thursday night. I let it ring. Voicemail. "We're having Mateo's 7th birthday next weekend. He asked for you. Please come." Family? South. Family. The word tasted like metal. I stared at the invitation she sent by text, a cartoon dinosaur in a party hat. The roar into Sao. The party was at the indoor play place downtown. Neon lights, ball pit, pizza grease thick in the air. 20 kids. A bounce castle shaped like a pirate ship. And a cake. Of course there'd be a cake. I typed back. F. Wouldn't miss it. Sent a dinosaur emoji. She replied with hearts. That night I sat cross-legged on my floor with a notebook. Not a revenge list. Too childish. A map. I wrote down everything I knew about Elena's life like a case files. She posted every milestone within 6 hours. Marco filmed everything on his phone for the memories. Mateo hated mushrooms, loved being the center of attention. Elena's greatest fear, looking like a bad mom online. I circled that last one twice. I started small. Ordered a custom cake topper from an Etsy shop in Jersey. Acrylic glittery gold F. Happy 7th birthday. King Mateo! Same font as my graduation cake. I paid extra for rush shipping. Then I called the play place, sweet as honey. Said I was Alina's sister and wanted to. Surprised them with a special dessert table. The manager loved the idea. Gave me the delivery window. But the real move came from work. One of my clients, Marisol, was a single mom with a 6-year-old named Jaden. He'd been expelled from 2 daycares for biting. Marisol was desperate. I'd been seeing them for a month. Jaden drew violent dinosaurs, called teachers poopy heads. But he listened to me. I was the only adult he didn't bite. I asked Marisol if Jaden could come to a birthday party. He needs positive peer models, I said. She hesitated, then agreed. I didn't tell her whose party. The day before the party, I took Jaden to the dollar store. Bought him a plastic crown, a cape, a toy microphone that amplified his voice to cartoon levels. I knelt to his level. You're a king tomorrow, okay? Kings speak loud and proud. He nodded solemnly, eyes huge. I practiced with him in the mirror. Taught him 3 phrases. 1. This is MY party. 2. I'm the birthday king. 3. Give me the microphone. He repeated them like scripture. Saturday arrived humid and loud. The play place smelled like socks and cotton candy. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling like trapped thoughts. Alina wore a mom of the birthday boy sash. Marco had the phone up already, live streaming to her 8,000 followers. Mateo spotted me first, froze, then ran over, arms out. TD Soft, you came. I hugged him stiffly. Of course, buddy, big day. Elena rushed over. Perfume cloud in relief. You look amazing. I'm so glad you're here. She squeezed my arm like nothing had happened. I smiled with my teeth. The kids swarmed the pirate ship. Screams echoed off padded walls. I slipped away, found Jaden and Marisol near the entrance. Jaden clutched his crown like a lifeline. I whispered, remember, kings don't share the spotlight. He nodded. The cake arrived at 2:15. 3 tiers, chocolate fudge, dinosaur scales piped in green. My topper gleamed on the highest tier. Elena gasped, perfect for the camera. Marco zoomed in. "Look at this detail, guys! Titty Soft hooked it up!" Hashtags flew fa King Mateo hua bestantiver. I waited. They sang, "Happy Birthday." Mateo blew out the candles with both hands, cheeks puffed like a chipmunk. Then the microphone, a cordless one the DJ used for games, passed to him for thank yous. Jaden saw his moment. He darted forward, cape flapping, and snatched the mic from Mateo's hand. "THECSMY, parity!" He bellowed, voice cracking through the speakers. Feedback squealed. Parents jumped. Mateo's face crumpled. "Give it back!" Jaden climbed onto the cake table. Yes, the actual table, crown tilted, mic raised. "I am Tito Erchuikai," he stomped once. The table wobbled. Elena shrieked. Marco lunged, phone still recording. Jaden wasn't done. "Giv mimi thi mio piomen." He pointed at Mateo, who was now crying, snot bubbling. The other kids laughed, nervous, then delighted. Someone started chanting, "King Jaden!" The cake slid. Not dramatically. Just enough. The top tier tilted, fondant cracking like an earthquake. My glittery topper snapped in half. Chocolate oozed over the edge, slow and obscene. Elena screamed, a real one this time. "Get him down!" Marco grabbed Jaden by the cape. The mic hit the floor with a thud. Feedback howled. Kids scattered. Marisol stood frozen, mouth open. I didn't move. Just watched Elena try to salvage the cake with trembling hands, smearing green frosting up her forearms. Mateo wailed, face buried in her hip. The livestream chat exploded. Question marks, laughing emojis. "What is Appy Meeg?" Security escorted Jaden and Marisol out. I followed, murmuring apologies I didn't mean. In the parking lot, I high-fived Jaden. "You were incredible, King." He grinned, chocolate on his cheek. Did I do good? Miss Sophia. The fallout hit Alina's phone before we reached the parking lot. I watched from my car as she stood under the awning, thumb scrolling frantically, face lit blue. Marco tried to hug her. She shoved him off. Inside, the DJ killed the music. Parents herded kids out like a fire drill. The cake sat in ruins, topper halves floating in a puddle of buttercream. I drove home slow, windows down, city heat thick as soup. My phone buzzed. Elena, of course. Ace. What the hell was that? "Who was that kid?" I typed, "A client's son." Thought Mateo could use a friend who matches his energy. Sec 3 dots. Then nothing. That night, her Instagram story vanished. The livestream cut off mid-chaos. By morning, her profile was private. I screenshotted anyway. Habit from years of watching her curate perfection. Monday at the center, Marisol hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. Jaden won't stop talking about his Kingdom Day. "Thank you." I smiled, filed the incident under therapeutic breakthrough. No one asked questions. Kids ruin parties, it happens. Elena didn't call for a week. Then, on a Tuesday, my doorbell rang at 9 p.m. I opened it to find her on the stoop, no makeup, hair in a messy knot, Mateo asleep against her shoulder. "Can we come in?" Her voice cracked like thin ice. I stepped aside. The apartment smelled like takeout lo mein and lavender candles. She laid Mateo on my couch, tucked a throw pillow under his head. He clutched the plastic crown still, even in sleep. Elena paced my tiny living room, arms wrapped around herself. The videos everywhere. Someone stitched it with your graduation cake, side by side. "Karma's a birthday bitch." She laughed, but it sounded like choking. My follower count dropped 2,000 overnight. I poured her water. She didn't drink. Marco's boss saw it. Thinks we can't control our kid. He's on probation at work. I leaned against the counter, arms folded. Sounds rough. As she stopped pacing, looked at me, really looked. "Did you plan that?" I let the silence stretch. The faucet dripped. 1, 2, 3. "Plan," I said finally. "I invited a child who needs social skills practice to a party. That's my job." Her eyes filled. "You wanted me to feel it." Feel what?" "The way you felt. When she glanced at Mateo, lowered her voice. "When he ruined your day." I shrugged. Kids mirror what they see. She sank onto the armchair, head in her hands. I laughed. God, soft. I laughed, because I didn't know what else to do. Marco said boys will be boys, and I just went along. I was pregnant and tired and... She looked up. I'm sorry. I should have shut it down. The apology hung between us like smoke. I wanted to grab it, crush it, make her say it louder. Instead I said, Mateo's still wearing the crown. She followed my gaze. Mateo had rolled over. The crown was crooked, pressing a dent into his forehead. He won't take it off, she whispered. Says he's the real king now. I almost smiled. Almost. Elena left after an hour, no resolution, just the weight of her guilt settling into my carpet like dust. But I wasn't done. I waited another month, long enough for the sting to fade publicly, for Elena to post cautiously again, filtered park photos, captions about learning moments. I watched her rebuild the narrative kids teach us humility. Grateful for grace. Grace. As if she'd invented it. Then I executed the final piece. I'd been promoted at the center, lead counselor for the new youth mentorship program. Part of it involved a community showcase local kids presenting projects to donors. I invited Elena, told her Mateo could be a junior ambassador. She leapt at it. Redemption arc, perfect for the gram. The event was in the old auditorium downtown, velvet seats patched with duct tape, stage lights too bright. I wore a blazer the color of my ruined graduation gown. Elena arrived in pastels, Mateo in a tiny suit, hair slicked down. He carried a poster board. My family helps people. Stick figure drawings of him handing out food, labeled with shaky letters. My mentee, Jaden, was there too. Crown retired, but confidence intact. He'd made a video montage, clips of him volunteering at the food bank, set to upbeat music. I'd edited it myself. Subtle touches, quick cuts to Mateo's party meltdown, blurred just enough to be unrecognizable to anyone who hadn't lived it. A single frame of the cake sliding. Jaden's voice over. Even kings fall sometimes, but we get back up. The donors ate it up. Jaden got a standing ovation. Elena clapped politely, but I saw her knuckles go white. After, during the mingle, a donor, Mrs. Lang, pearl necklace, foundation money, pulled Elena aside. I hovered close enough to hear. Your nephew's project was chaotic, Mrs. Lang said, smiling like a shark. But this young man, she gestured to Jaden, shows real growth. We're funding his after-school program. Perhaps your family could learn from him. Elena's face went blotchy. She thanked Mrs. Lang, voice thin. Mateo tugged her sleeve. Mommy, when's my turn? Soon, baby, she said. But her eyes found mine across the room. I raised my glass of sparkling cider in a mock toast. The showcase ended with polite applause and the smell of coffee burning in the urn. Elena found me by the exit, Mateo trailing behind her like a shadow. We need to talk, she said. Her voice was low, the kind people use in libraries or funerals. I nodded toward the hallway. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting everything sickly green. Mateo sat on a bench, swinging his legs, poster board balanced on his knees. The stick figure family looked smudged now, like it had been cried on. Elena didn't waste time. You set this up. The kid, the video. All of it. I leaned against the cinder block wall. I gave a platform to a child who needed one. That's my job. Stop saying that, her whisper cracked. You wanted me to watch him lose. In front of donors. In front of. She glanced at Mateo. Everyone. I studied her face. The perfect eyeliner had smudged into faint bruises. You watched me lose, I said. In front of Dad, Dr. Patel. Julian, you laughed. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I said I was sorry. You said it to my carpet? Silence stretched. Somewhere down the hall, a janitor's cart squeaked. Mateo looked up. Mommy, can we go home? In a minute, me Joe. He went back to coloring on his poster with a crayon he'd found in his pocket. The word king in red over and over until the paper tore. Elena's shoulders folded inward. I keep replaying it. Your face when the cake hit the ground. I told myself it was funny because if I admitted it hurt you, I'd have to admit I let it happen. That I taught him. Her voice broke. That cruelty was cute. I didn't comfort her. I'd waited too long for this moment to hand her an easy out. She wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand. Marco wants to ground him. Take away screens. I said no. Grounding doesn't teach empathy. It teaches hiding. She laughed, bitter. I sound like you now. Amadeo slid off the bench, walked over. He held up the ruined poster. Titty soft. I messed it up. I crouched. The paper was shredded where he'd pressed too hard. Messes can be fixed, I said. Sometimes they become something new. He looked at the word. Crying, bleeding through the back. I don't want to be king anymore. My chest tightened. What do you want to be? He thought. A helper. Like Jaden. Elena made a sound, half sob, half exhale. She knelt too, arms around him. We'll start tomorrow, okay? You and me. We'll volunteer with Miss Sophia's kids. Mateo nodded against her shoulder. I stood. The hallway felt smaller suddenly, the air less toxic. Elena looked up at me. Is this enough? I considered. The cake in the grass. The crown on the floor. The way her apology finally sounded like it cost her something. No, I said, but it's a start. We didn't hug. Not yet. She took Mateo's hand, and they walked toward the exit. The automatic doors whooshed open, letting in a slice of night air. I watched their silhouettes shrink, mother and son, poster flapping like a white flag. I stayed until the janitor asked me to leave. Driving home, the city lights blurred into watercolor streaks. My phone stayed silent, no texts, no tags, just the quiet hum of tires on wet pavement. 6 months later, Elena posted a photo Mateo at the food bank, sleeves rolled up, handing a canned good to an elderly man. Captions, off, learning that real kings lift others up. Grateful for hard lessons and harder love. She tagged me. I liked it. Didn't comment. Sometimes she drops Mateo at the center on Saturdays. He shadows Jaden now. 2 boys who learned the world doesn't revolve around them. They argue over who gets to push the snack cart. I let them figure it out. I never got another graduation cake. But last week, Mateo brought me a cupcake from the dollar store. Chocolate, slightly squashed, a single candle stuck in the middle. For your half-birthday, he said. Proud. I saved my allowance. I lit the candle. He sang off-key. Frosting smudged his nose. When I blew it out, he didn't say, "Make a wish." He said, "Thank you for teaching me." I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't see. Some nights, I still smell vanilla and burnt sugar. I opened the closet, touched the gown with its stained tassel. The crack in my chest didn't heal clean. It scarred. But scars are proof the wound closed. I kept the broken cake topper, the half that says Sophia. It sits on my desk next to Jaden's thank you, drawing 2 stick figures holding hands under a lopsided sun. One wears a crown. The other doesn't need one. Revenge tasted like chocolate and dirt once. Now it tastes like second chances I didn't plan to give. And the rain on my window no longer sounds like static. It sounds like pages turning.